please. Hey! Move aside! Out of my way! Wait, you're Conmin. As I began to size up the girl inside, a peculiar familiarity came to me. But the way you speak is different. Even you saw through my disguise. It's a total failure. Separate them and take them away! I heard he's a friend of Teresa. Release him now. Who are you? Everyone in the world knows. The one who ended the War of the Three Kingdoms and unified the realm, Conmin the Grand Cirrus. She sighed in relief and waved the maiden to bring 2 cups with wine. Have a taste, Captain. Spring Dance, the finest wine in the Empire. Is your tongue twisted, Captain? Looks like you're in shock, too. I'll drink first, then. 1 sip later, Conmin frowned and flung the cup onto the floor with porcelain shards splashing all over. Right. Where's Rita? I mean, the Grand Chancellor. Rita is dead. Captain? What, Conmin? Thank you for playing chess with me. Elephant in lane 5, advancing by 7. Captain, you have lost. Seeing Conmin on the verge of collapse, I swept the board aside and got a hold of her before she fell. Fine, Miss Iron Fist. Wake her up. Save Emberia. Save Rita. And save me. Charging complete. Positioning anchor complete. Transferring complete. Calculating termination time. Like bubbles, small chunks of my consciousness slowly floated back, but regaining my senses took more time. Something bitter in my mouth. As I struggled to sit up in the bed, something was accidentally knocked over and fell down. I heard the sound of something breaking and then a cough. I turned around and saw Conmin waving her fan at my side with her poker face and unfriendly eyes. This look, unmistakably the Conmin I used to know. Why am I here? I was hoping you would answer this question for me, fool. How did you manage to fail again? End up in my chamber? I meant to say, I'm back to save your life, but she'd simply sniff at me and refuse to believe her life was at stake. I've no idea. Why I wasn't sent back to my world? I was hoping you could tell me. But what exactly went wrong with my formation? Even Rosalia and Lilia are missing now. Never mind. Long story short, I didn't see you when I left the ruins, but I found you here and unconscious. By the way, the Penglai incense is a precious tribute from the Western nomads carefully preserved for Chisi. I burnt half of the block to wake you up, and you casually broke the other half. I didn't mean to. The smoke almost suffocated me. You ungrateful fool! I ground the incense into powder to save your worthless life, and you dared to grumble? Never mind. It's great folly for me to save you in the first place. You look disturbed and absent-minded. I just saved your life, but where's your respect and gratitude? I never disrespect you. Do you have anything to confess? I hope you're not keeping something from me. Huh? No, of course not. Really? Time will attest to my innocence and integrity. I heard Miss Ironfist's noise when I was half-conscious. Maybe Conmin heard too, and that's why she asked me this. The bed was right beside the screen, and from where I sat I could see Miss Ironfist clearly. That's Tesla Zero? How do you know Miss Iron Fist? Lying to Conmin is like playing with fire. I'd better mix it with a tad of truth. Oh, the Chancellor told me a lot of your stories, and I know this Miss Iron Fist has been a big help to you. Yes, that's the Tesla Zero you've heard. She came here with an old friend, but she's been asleep ever since the old friend left. Looks like Miss Iron Fist fell into power-saving mode again before Conmin returned, so I wouldn't be exposed. Rita did tell you all this. She never said she had a civilian friend like you. Miss Iron Fist once helped me to defeat Huodo. Now it has returned, but she's not able to help again. Neither are a lot of my old friends. Conmin sighed deeply. It's hard for me to admit, but my formation was the reason why you failed to return to your world once again. I was told Hodo had broke loose again, and Rita went to the front line. Just now, Teresa and I sent envoys to Shixel and Jormungand, asking for their help. They're not coming. If Huodo picks Zamberia as its first target, the other two kingdoms may very well stand by. Conmin's frown made me realize I might have taken too big of a leap. To avoid her suspicion, I added something. Just a hunch, but it wouldn't hurt to ask them anyway. On the other hand, you can start preparing your formation. I had that in mind, but Rita left me a message. No, there's no time for hesitation. I've kept myself away from worldly affairs for too long. That same logic seems to slip off me. And to my surprise, you read the situation very well. When I was cracking my brain for a good reason to convince her, she made up her mind decisively. Let's go and check the Abyssal Altar. So this is where Hodo was sealed? Yes, Hodo was previously sealed at the altar, or in a space near the altar to be more exact. When it fled the space, it also caused massive damage to the ruins. Over there. That's Golem? It's still asleep? Look closely. Conmin walked up to Golem with a gentle lift of hand. Half of Golem's head fell. The fallen part had clear scorch marks. Could it be Hodo? It even broke Golem? Exactly. And maybe the traces that can help us to track it down. Captain, help me deploy the 7-star formation. The 7-star formation? Light up that 7-star lanterns in the correct order. Follow me. I'll tell you how it works later. Hey. One more. Oh, Big Dipper. Is that supposed to mean something? Strange. Gonmin, what's... I deployed the formation to probe the ruins and lit up the lanterns to indicate Hodo's energy traces. The lanterns point to Moon Emberia, but I didn't receive any report on its appearance there. As she spoke, some disturbing crackles were heard. I looked closely and found 5 lanterns cracked. Conmin waved her fan with a frown. Captain, we need to return to Moon Emberia now. What did you find, Conmin? I used the same formation to seal Hodo, but now 5 of the 7 lanterns are broken. It's grown much stronger since then. The lanterns told us Hodo went to the Moon Emberia first, and the most densely populated part. but based on the information I've received, Hodo never showed up around Moon and Barrier lately. Rita said she could handle Hodo alone and told me to focus on the formation. Evidently, Hodo may pounce back any hour, and Rita can only hold off it from Moon and Barrier for a short time. As if to echo Konmin's observation, a huge bang came from afar. Curses! That's from the largest neighborhood of Moon and Barrier. Wait, Konmin, is Rita... We're running out of time. Let's talk about this on the road. I have a very bad feeling. It's like... I know there's a thin thread in the wind, but I can't see it or grip it. For the first time in my life, I can feel the future slipping through my fingers like sand grains. Never mind. To endeavor to my wit's end and leave no room for regret is my way. Hold on, Captain. Standing on a hilltop outside Moon and Barrier, we saw sporadic fire burning in the city's commercial area. Some shops are damaged, but not very badly. The fire should be put out soon. It's a bit weird. None of the citizens are out to snuff out the fire. Your Majesty? Your Majesty! You're the manager of the fabric store, right? There's fire in the city. Are you all right? Where are you going? I'm fine. Just here to check my store. How does it look? Half of the store is toasted, but thanks to the Chancellor, all of our precious stock were moved elsewhere. You saw the Chancellor? Did she head to the mountain behind the city? The difficult terrain there is very likely to keep Hodo away. On hearing these words, the manager knelt down and kowtowed 3 times. The Chancellor sent word and told us to hide in the mountain. She said the beast wouldn't go there. No wonder there's no one in the city. They all went to the mountain. She mentioned there were other monsters brought by Hodo, but they wandered about without a clear target. So where's the Chancellor then? I have no idea. Konmin helped the manager get on his feet. Her lips parted, but something held her words back. Leave now and hurry. Stores can be rebuilt, but you only have one life. Konmin remained where she was, her eyes staring into the distance. Konmin, don't blame him. You think I'd blame him for ditching the safety zone Rita told them to stay in and risking his life for the shop? No, I won't. Life is hard and the shop means the world to him. Besides, he doesn't owe his life to Rita. Konmin sighed before she carefully observed the neighborhood and plucked a tree branch to draw a formation. Water on the top and lake on at the bottom. This rain-praying formation should be enough to handle the fire. Let's track Hodo down along the path. A trail of huge scorched footsteps extended before our eyes, and on the other side of the trail were trees slashed in half. This is obviously from Hodo's tail sweep. Hodo went that way. The ancient battlefield. That's an open space where it can run freely. If we can stop it there, it would be even harder to trap it later. Rita, don't even think about... Konmin bit her lips and took long to make up her mind. I fear I won't be able to protect you later, so take the bamboo path and get into the mountain now. Don't give up on me yet, Konmin. I may not be much of a help, but I certainly won't become your dead weight. I can take care of myself. It's your call. Konmin packed her fan and flipped her long sleeve to stride off. I'll stay by your side no matter how hard it is. This time, we'll save Rita together and rewrite history. Follow up. I'm not waiting for you. Her voice faded as our gap expanded. I threw my hesitation aside to catch up with her. I stepped in and saw a giant shadow looming in the smoke. Konmin's hard drag helped me evade the raining rubble. Hodo is hiding now? In the smokescreen stood a tall figure. Hide all you want, vile creature, but there's no escaping my final strike. You'll never put your filthy claws on Moon Emberia again, even if the cost is my life. The Grand Chancellor of Emberia, the perfect woman free from any human weakness, was now bathed in blood. Still, there wasn't even a trace of fear to be found on her face. Rita, what do you think you're doing? Rita turned over and saw me. Captain, you're here too. No wonder Her Majesty found me. Forgive my manners, but this is not a good place or time for a friendly chat. She gave me a bitter smile before turning around again. Your Majesty? So I failed to keep you from here. Sorry you have to find me in this utterly unpresentable state. Conmin didn't wait for Rita to finish and tore a scrap off her sleeve. She walked up to Rita silently and dressed her wounds. It's a pity the cloud blue fabric went to waste. It takes a lifetime to extract this special color from the flowers. That's the least of my worries now. Conmin's little face was now pumped up by anger like a puffer. I've been meaning to say this since the beginning. Liar! Rita, you're the biggest liar in the world. You lied to my face about the crisis. Had I not checked the altar myself, you'd be toast by now. Hodo is much stronger now, and it takes both of us to stop it. Your Majesty's forte is the formations, not close combat. Your Majesty almost caught a cold in the last Hodo hunt. So you decided to trade your life with a beast in my stead? Conmin cut in abruptly, leaving Rita no room for explanation. Rita looked at her puffed face and smiled in reply. Yes, but I was simply following the suicidal tradition Your Majesty set when we dealt with the Hodo last time. You! I didn't know what went down exactly, but judging from Conmin's stutter, Rita was telling the truth. Well, like Empress, like Chancellor. Rita looked to the horizon. The beast broke loose in Your Majesty's absence, and I'm responsible for not being able to safeguard the Empire. From this moment, you two become immortal. With no other greater interference, your lives shall last eternally. If the Colossus told the truth, Emberia will reign forever as long as Your Majesty and I still breathe. Even in times of war, if we keep our distance from the front line, the Colossus will always be able to turn the tide. But Your Majesty has cautioned me time and again ever since the Colossus granted the wish. Emberia is more than you and me. Rita, I don't need to hear this now. Well, I'm trying to fill the captain in. At first, I didn't quite understand. On the first day of every month, we always went to the Star Pavilion together. It's a place where we enjoy stage performances specially prepared for us. The shows were great, but having watched the same for ages, my mind would wander as soon as the curtain was lifted. One day, Your Majesty told me there was an alley right beside the Star Pavilion. The shows were not prohibited from civilian eyes, so many people would crowd the alley for a glimpse. Later on, I found out it wasn't the shows that captured their eyes. It's the untouchable Your Majesty and me. And the funny thing is, Your Majesty and I enjoy watching them far more than the monotonous shows. The Star Pavilion was thus turned into a window for the people of Emberia, and thus to peek into a different way of life. Rita chuckled, and somehow I sensed an understated loneliness in her laughter. Your Majesty is full of curiosity and love, running through the city's nooks and crannies for little adventures. Once out the Imperial Citadel, she would become a small fish swimming freely in the open water. I remember my favorite sugar figure stand. The nicest one was always sold out, and I had to settle for something else. And the daughter of fragrance store's owner always nagged me for candy, so her father always gave me free sachets. After 1,000 years, some shops still stand, but more have died with their owners. People always come and go. That's what makes your majesty appreciate that Emberia is more than you and me. Moon Emberia is the sum of every soul breathing within its walls, and so is the Empire. Not for a second have I forgotten your majesty's words. The Empress and the Chancellor fell silent in the thickening smoke. I told you I didn't want to hear this, Rita. You just keep going on and on in your typically leisurely manner. Conmin's half-hearted accusation surprised both Rita and me. The two of them looked at each other and couldn't hold back their laugh. Now this may not be the best time to walk down memory lane, but weirdly, that's all I can think of before the deadly battle. The rumbling returned in the company of the monster's scorching breath. Conmin lifted her fan. The east wind is rising. Follow me to battle. Your Majesty? Rita raised her scythe and stood before us. Please focus on your formation, and I'll defeat the vile beast once and for all. The two of you have helped me so. For Rita to lose this battle is to disgrace Emberia and its people. Yeah, that's a cool pose.
信頼していただきありがとうございます。目標が姿を現しました。疲れを取るので休息が一番ですよ。
There's one done. Ah, shoot. This is gonna hurt. Not as bad as I was expecting, though. Here we go. Your Majesty? As soon as Rita knocked down Hodo... Oh wait, no. Your Majesty! As soon as Rita knocked down Hodo, Conmin's 7-star formation was activated around the beast. Floundering to break free, Hodo spat furious flames to burn everything and everyone around. Meteor and now! My vision suddenly blurred and I thought I saw a dragon proudly raising its head behind Conmin. Meanwhile, 6 of the 7 lanterns in the formation went out one by one. The formation cannot stop it! Why did Hodo grow in power after it broke the seal? Could it be... it formed some kind of connection with the ruins and siphoned power from the formation? I'll hold it off. Your Majesty, try to switch the formation and sever Hodo's connection with the ruins first. The last lantern went out as well. Hodo, its power is surging rapidly. The power surge will backfire and cause an explosion. Hodo means to kill all of us with a suicidal attack. Let me distract it and lure it to the sea. No, this is suicide. I can do it. Now you concentrate on the formation and wait for me to run far. You've stopped it before, and you can certainly make it this time. Konmin looked at me again and said something, but I couldn't hear her. The flame storm swept over and set us apart. Pain overwhelmed every inch of my body and threatened to take away my consciousness. In the twilight zone, I seemed to hear something. Countdown? 9 seconds. 8 seconds. Countdown? Why would there be a timer? Is it the countdown to Hodo's explosive death? I began to run, but I seemed to have forgotten how to run. I was merely swinging my arms and legs like a broken robot. The formation worked, but it only stalled Hodo by a bit. It came at me like a giant, burning, wrecking ball. Before my eyes laid a cliff overlooking the ocean and a pit that I had no idea how deep it reached. With searing wind licking my cheeks, there's no time for me to think. I was ready to dive off the cliff, but something tripped me over and I ended up falling into the pit. I kept falling as I heard a massive boom from outside the pit. Hodo should have fallen into the sea, and the explosion wouldn't hurt anyone this way. The boom soon faded away, but not the timer in my head. Countdown to retracting anchor. 9 seconds. Teleportation terminating. That's Miss Ironfist speaking. The teleportation is ending? I don't know exactly how it works, but it seems to me that space-time teleportation has a time limit. Well, it wouldn't be right without a limit. But the question is, where will I be after the teleportation ends? And will I be sent back to the Chisi when Konmin died miserably and left Miss Ironfist to me? I have no answers. Anyway, Hodo has died, so Rita won't have to sacrifice her life, and Konmin would be alive too. I've saved their lives. While still in midair, I turned my head, allowing the rain of tiny gravel wash my face. Oh, allowing the rain to wash. I don't get it. Allow the rain of tiny droplets to wash my face. Let's just go with that. And let out a relieved sigh. Great. Looks like the only one that dies in this story is going to be me. To be honest, good luck was never my friend, but if I can somehow make it out alive, I'll let you tell my fortune again, Konmin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wish me luck. Once again, the world turned gray and obscure. I was not at all afraid. Things are always gray and obscure before light comes. Survive, Mr. Assassin? Konmin's voice rang in my head, but I couldn't seem to remember when she said this to me. In the gray, something poked my eyes. I opened my eyes, but they acted against my will and closed the next instant. Tears rushed out, and I saw light. I fumbled around and found myself still in the pit. It took me a while to get used to the light. Somehow, the pit turned out to be shallower than I remembered, and very soon I climbed out with ease. I was standing amidst a boundless desert, but my memory told me the fight took place near the ancient battlefield. Being close to the sea, this place had no reason to be so dry and barren. I suddenly began to understand why the pit appeared so much shallower. The surface soil seemed to have been eroded into sands. Wait, the sea. Where's the sea under the cliff? I peered down the cliff. There's no sea, only a big, big hole. Everything has changed. What happened after the Hodo battle? I could only rely on my fading memory to make out the direction and head to where I last saw Combing. A tree gradually emerged on the horizon, a rare sign of life in the desert. I quickened my steps. As I walked closely, I found out it's a desert poplar. I also saw someone under the tree. She seemed to be staring into the tree and lost in her thoughts. The dress told me it's Rita, but why would she be here? I ran to her to find out. Rita! On hearing my voice, Rita turned around. I could hardly believe my eyes. Right before me stood a Rita that looked withered and emaciated. Ugh. When I last saw her in the battle, she seemed weakened and worn, but her fire of life was still burning bright. The look on her face was hollow and tired. The same look I saw on the bad-ending Conran's face. Only people who have lost their dearest have eyes like these. A glimmer flashed by her eyes when she saw me. Her Majesty's calculation is right. You're still alive. Rita, is Conmin... I wasn't sure what to say. It shouldn't be like this. No way! Rita bowed to me, and the look on her face told the whole story. Captain, you've finally come. Is Hodo gone? Yes, it's gone. But just as Her Majesty foresaw, with its death came a violent explosion. It occurred on the sea beyond our border, and all three kingdoms suffered heavy losses. We managed to contain the damage, but Jormungand and Shixel, it's outright catastrophe. Jormungand's sea evaporated and became land, while Shixel's glaciers melted and turned into an ocean. Captain, do you still remember the two envoys we dispatched to Shixel and Jormungand for help? Yeah, what about them? The two never made it back. They went missing. Missing? Not kept prisoners by Shixel and Jormungand? Before the time travel, Kunmin told me two envoys were sent but the two kingdoms never lent a hand. That's where things don't add up. Earlier, Her Majesty believed the two envoys were detained, but we did not respond before the Hodo battle. The Arch-Imperator and Corsair Queen are not my friends, but I know killing the messengers is below them. With Hodo's return, the monsters it brought along also put people from the other two kingdoms in harm's way. I regarded the Arch-Imperator and the Corsair Queen were only being cautious for the sake of their own kingdoms. But soon after Hodo was defeated, the message came that Jormungand and Shixel were allied to invade us. I sent people to investigate and learned the shocking fact that the two kingdoms did send troops to our aid. After Hodo perished, the two kingdoms assumed their soldiers helped, but they never returned. Missing envoys and troops? They might jump to the wrong conclusion if they relate this to the Hodo explosion. Yes, rumors rose believing it was us who freed Hodo and imprisoned the aiding troops who hurt the two kingdoms. The two kingdoms were consumed by rage and war was inevitable. I began to make preparations, and Her Majesty did something no one expected. She fed the rumor that Emberia was struggling over resistance or surrender and kept playing her zither on the keep. It's a screen smoke to cover our evacuation. She wouldn't listen, however hard I tried to urge her to leave with us. When the zither tune began to falter, the invaders attacked, believing it indicated the loss of the defenders' faith. But when the gate was rammed open, only Her Majesty was found inside. All the city's residents had been evacuated. Her Majesty finished the last tune with grace and dignity before she whispered farewell to her zither's lament. Oh boy.
皆の者、出陣よ。
Where are my troops, Coming? Oh boy. So what happened? Her Majesty bought us time to evacuate to Moonimberia and defended the besieged city herself to the last breath. According to my informers, the Allied invaders failed to find their lost troops in Moonimberia. Moonimberia has fallen. We cannot return now. I gathered intel on the missing troops and envoys, the location they were last seen, and the map of the area. I have no use for it now, Captain, you may still find it helpful. My sole purpose here is to pass on Her Majesty's message and hand over her. Rita reached her hands into the winding branches of the desert poplar and carefully took out something. I'm leaving Miss Iron Fist to your care, Mr. Assassin. That's Her Majesty's last message. Mr. Assassin. Conmin. Why? When did she... How did she know I was the Mr. Assassin she met in her youth? It suddenly occurred to me that after I woke up in Conmin's room, she asked me if I was holding something back. She probably had suspected then, and my smart play gave myself up and confirmed her suspicion. Is it the rattling of Miss Iron Fist before she went in, or a slip of my tongue that exposed me? There's no way to find out now. A new Moonimberia will rise where we stand now. Many hours of work will be devoted, but Moonimberia is the sum of every soul breathing in it, and so is the Empire. Rita reached out her thin arm and stroked the desert poplar. This desert poplar has stood here for long years, probably even before I was born. The trunk has withered and the branches have broken, but it still stands proudly. It takes 1,000 years for a desert poplar to die, another 1,000 years to fall, and a third to rot. This saying always reminds me of the Grand Cirrus and Emberia. The first part is about the Grand Cirrus, the second is about the Grand Cirrus's name, and the third about Emberia. The Grand Cirrus name was passed on to Teresa, but Her Majesty is still safeguarding the Empire after her death. The Empire lives on. The Grand Cirrus's name lives on. But Her Majesty is no longer with us. Rita bowed to me again. Pray forgive my babbling. I tell myself, Her Majesty was someone who faced Hodo alone for the realm and risked her life to send me a message. Who stood watch at the abyssal altar for 1,000 years and shielded Moon and Barry on her own. She's never destined to meet her end comfortably in a feather bed, and I should have known it long ago. But deep down, part of me still holds this delusion that you could somehow save her. Her voice sank low and I could hardly hear her. I can see tears welling up in your eyes, but why are you holding them back instead of letting it all out? I wanted to ask her this, but I didn't. Perhaps she saw the same look on me and wanted me to ask me the same question. What went wrong? I strongly felt something was off. What changes had this world seen? The missing envoys and soldiers? The monsters that came with Hodo's return? The broken golem? None of these makes any sense. After Rita left, I eyed the Tesla Zero lying under the tree. Here we go again.